of Allegiance. Pastor.
Thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity to be here. Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for this day that you've given us. Father, we thank you for another precious gift of life today. And Father, for this opportunity to be here to conduct the city's business. And God, I pray that you'll be with these here tonight. God, I pray that you'll fill them with wisdom and knowledge. And Lord, I know that there's no way that they can make everybody happy. Sometimes they don't make anybody happy. But God, I pray that they would make you happy tonight. Father, I pray that as you have given us this fine city, God, I pray that you would lead us in what you would have us to do. And God, I pray that you'll be with our city. I pray that you'll be with the ones who were affected by this latest round of violence this week. And God, I thank you for our law enforcement, our city leaders. They've done so much to help our city, to make it more safe. And God, I thank you for their efforts. I pray that you'll continue to bless those efforts. God, I pray for these families. And God, I pray that we would show love and not violence in Natchez. And God, I know that we could pass laws, we can do lots of things, but I also know that the only answer to our problem, which is sin, is you. Amen. And God, I pray that revival would break out in Natchez. God, I pray that people would turn their hearts to you. That's the only thing that's going to fix our great city. So God, I pray that you'll bless our time tonight. And all of these things coming up in this agenda, I pray that the right decisions would be made. And God, that they would honor you. And Father, most of all, I thank you for Jesus Christ, who gave his life so that we could have a personal relationship with you. And it's in his great name that we ask these things. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you. And now join as we pledge to the flag. Our pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Dillard.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accounted for.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We now will continue with our roll call. We have, I think, department directors' reports. No approval of minutes.
Yes.
I was just looking around to see if we have any visitors. We don't. Okay. Because when we do, we like to get them out first. We'll now move to the approval of minutes, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Requesting approval of the special call meeting held on June 23rd, 2021, of course, with necessary corrections.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for,
No.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman.
Just what corrections are you referring to?
Just if you all have any corrections
Okay.
in your review of the minutes.
Thanks, Mayor. Call
Okay.
the question.
And second,
Second.
the question has been called. We will move to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next set of minutes will be the regular meeting held January 25th of 2022.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
There was some errors.
Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. I have discussed corrections with Mr. Attorney and with the city clerk's office.
Yes. And were those substantive in nature?
Let Well, I didn't think
We
y'all
don't
wanted-
have to go through every grammatical, but are they reflected in the minutes that we're looking at tonight?
We have changed them in the minutes that you all have in front of you, but they have been reported and they have been made to the minutes that will actually go in the minute book.
Okay. Before the vote, might need to just have a brief summary of what they are.
Yes, sir.
Not grammatic.
So
Not
it-
grammatical,
Spelling.
but anything substantive.
Primarily grammatical and, in this one.
Okay.
And those have been taken care of.
Okay. Alderwoman Irving?
Okay, it was time frame. In reading that information that our city clerk had given us about, Robert Rules of Order, we had 2 aldermen to come in, so it says that, I'm sorry, that's not these minutes. And it is error. It is just a grammatical error, and I'll share
Okay.
those with you. I'm on the
Okay.
wrong minutes.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman.
Call for
Well-
the question?
The question has been called. Second?
Second.
We'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is the regular minutes of, regular meeting, held February 8th of 2022.
What is
So
the
moved.
pleasure?
Second.
Alderwoman Smith has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion?
Yes.
Alderwoman Irving?
Okay, and it was with these minutes here, the detail. It says that they were absent, Alderman Frazier and Alderman Davis, and I do, see where it was acknowledged where they entered the meeting, but it should be the time on here that they entered the meeting.
Okay,
According to Robert Rules of Order, it should
That's
be the time.
correct.
yeah, we will go
And-
back and include.
Thank you.
And, the others are typos, and so I can share that with you.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman. Any further?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall?
Again, I've discussed the corrections with the city clerk's office, that, you want details, I'd be glad to provide you details.
If they're substantive,
It's quite-
Yes, sir, one was on page 7. I think
Yes.
7. Make sure, pages. Page 6, I'm sorry. Whereas a motion made by Alderwoman Hall, second by Alderman Davis, to begin the process for applications for Natchez Adams School Board District Board of Trustees. There wasn't a vote for Alderman Frazier, so I did check that with the city clerk, and there was,
okay,
and we just added, and curriculum vitae was added to that motion.
okay.
Also,
I'm sorry,
Alderwoman Hall still has the floor.
the next
Alderwoman.
page,
go back to that.
halfway down the page, a motion was made by Alderwoman Smith, second by Alderwoman Irving, to approve the travel for Megan McKenzie and Caroline Deason to attend the Mississippi Municipal Service Workshop Workers' Compensation and General Liability Risk Management in Pearl, Mississippi, February 24th, 2022. There was no registration fee. Mileage will be the only expense at approximately $120. There had to be, the vote was not recorded, so that was
Yes,
made.
the vote was unanimous and
Yes, sir.
does need to be included.
And below that, under Mr. Attorney's report,
Yes,
this was addressed in the the January 25th meeting. This was added to this minutes, which was an error.
so that should be actually in the January 25th.
What it is, it was just recorded.
Oh, so that is
Yes.
actually, that needs to be deleted.
Yes, sir.
It's a duplication, okay?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman Irving,
Okay, I also want to say that there were a few streets missing, and this is gonna be on page 3. And it's gonna be other identified drainage sites. We omitted, State Street and, the corner of Fine Street. That should be added there.
yes.
What else do I have on, the motion on the 3rd page? where it said a motion was made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. East Franklin Street near Holy Family School was omitted near the Spanish Bayou.
Yes.
Okay, that should be added there. And,
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor.
And yes,
that's a
another,
type of
Alderwoman Irving, you have another one?
errors. I'm looking through here because I
Okay.
didn't put a sticky note on it.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
But there was just some,
okay.
errors to be corrected.
Yes,
the East
Madam Clerk?
Franklin was not in our notes to be included, but we do have State Street included on that particular motion. But East Franklin was not in the notes to be included.
Right. I just said that East Franklin was not.
No, I didn't have it in my notes from the meeting. It
The
was
Spanish
it wasn't-
Bayou
wasn't-
as it crosses East
East
Franklin,
Franklin.
that is all in the minutes.
Okay.
That is in there. That is in there. Mhm. And it includes Spanish Bayou at Main Street, Washington, and St. Catherine. Okay, that is in there. All right. Further discussion?
Call
Further
question.
discussion? The question has been called.
Second.
I have one thing. We need to make sure we're spelling Ms. Cole's name correctly.
That's been done, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, good. She does too much for our city. The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next, I believe that is it. We'll move now to department directors' reports. Mr. Johnston, you're recognized.
Evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
My report did not change from the one provided to you this past Friday. Cleaning of illegal dump sites with monies from DEQ, which we do have a grant agreement in place. Staff is requesting permission to receive quote bids for the cleaning of the following identified illegal dump sites: 17 Old Browns Lane and 306 McIntyre.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll call for the question. Question's been called. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, while we're discussing illegal dump sites, I visited an area on, it was actually on Daisy Street today at 1223 Daisy Street. And the old bayou behind that residence, if you look in, there are a lot of tires, couches, other debris, obviously an illegal dump site. And if you could look at that to see if it would qualify for any cleanup funds under DEQ.
Is that on the right or the left?
As you go down Daisy Street going north, it's on the right.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
When you supposed to have a meet over there,
Alderman Frazier, is my understanding you were informed of the meeting at
it was,
12:30
I thought it was,
with Ms. Wanda
was it
Beamer?
today?
It
Oh,
was
yesterday. I
today.
thought
It
was
was
today?
today. It was today at 12:30.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
It's
I
okay.
had it on my schedule for tomorrow.
It was surprising to me to see it on my schedule for today, and they said it was moved to
I thought-
accommodate you.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'm-
But it was a very good meeting, and we
Oh, I done been
discussed
there,
a number of things, and all is well.
I'm about that site. James, I appreciate you, looking into it, but on Daisy Street, I don't know if we're gonna have probably get funds to get that. We're gonna have.
If he'll qualify for DEQ funds.
Is
we'll
that
see.
that house falling
We'll see.
down?
Also, we have severe erosion along that bayou, and I was in my report, Alderman Frazier, going to ask that we, since we're waiting on the engineer to be identified, we might as well add that to the engineer report request, but we can do that a little later.
That's fine, okay.
So those were the items that we discussed. And so, all right, Mr. Johnson, thank you for the report. We'll move now to Ms. Sonora Cole. And as she is making her way up, I want to ask everyone to give her a round of applause. And her staff, Ms. Shakara and others, and also our Mayor's Youth Council, and Nifa Hardy, and also Alderman Valencia Hall, who assisted through the Youth Council on my behalf. They were able to make a beautiful event at the community center. And Ms. Cole, how many people attended?
We had about over 130 dads and daughters.
That's
And
wonderful. It is. And, and during this time when we have headlines about the challenges we're facing, it is good to note that we have some really good things happening.
Thank you.
And I know you worked so hard. And thank you for all you did to make this a success.
Thank you.
And the upcoming events for Easter, we're looking forward to that. Ms.
I want to
Cole?
add, we also brought in over $1,900 in revenue.
Wow, okay. That's
And it's
it.
important to state that we had fathers, daughters, uncles, nieces, grandfathers, and granddaughters. Black and white. This was a community event.
It is wonderful. Thank you, Alderwoman Hall.
Oh,
Alderwoman Irving?
I was just gonna ask, so with the funding, where would the $1,900 go into our recreation fund?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Great pictures,
Mhm.
just a great event. Oh, this is so
Thank
nice. You are recognized for your report, Ms. Cole.
Okay, I provided and submitted to you guys 3 bids for our restrooms at our park at Concord restroom, North Natchez Youth Center restroom outdoor, and Jack Waite. And after my review, I would like approval to move forward with Mr. Lee Scott Construction.
So moved with the approval of Mr. Callaway.
The motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall to approve the quote that you just mentioned. Tell me the name of the contractor again.
Lee Scott.
Mr. Lee Scott, with approval, legal approval through Mr. Callaway, the city attorney. Do we have a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion, Alderwoman Irving.
I just wanna ask a question. I don't have a problem with, I just wanna know how it's done, because I know normally when we do the bid, when you add, so let me just ask the question. Were you to add all 3 of these figures up of each contractor price? Well, that's to be added up.
What do you mean?
Okay, so you got a
Individually?
total on each page here.
This is what they submitted to me,
Okay,
and then I put it in the form of a spreadsheet, exactly how they submitted it.
so, and what I'm saying is this, it's not the lowest and best bid that we're getting, if we're looking at it in that respect. That's the reason why I was asking.
Yes.
When I total each of them up, I have one that totals $57,404.90. I have the second one that totals up $25,384. And I have the third one totals up to $20,125. So I didn't know if we was taking the lowest and best bid. I really didn't know if we were gonna have a discussion on it, because we just received them today at 3:30. And so I'm asking the question, is that, was I adding it up correct for each contractor?
You are,
Okay, and so that wasn't the lowest bid then, so we want lowest and best.
yes, but although.
Well, we want best,
We want
and it may
best.
not be
Best
may not be the
lowest.
lowest.
That's what I was
Ms.
about to
Cole,
say.
if you would address the Alderwoman's concerns.
Okay, yes. We do want the lowest and we do want the best, but, we want to make sure that when we're getting this work done, we want to ensure that it's done correctly and we don't have to go back in for rework. I've met with all of the contractors as they evaluated each of the restrooms. And after receiving the bids and also speaking with them, I feel more comfortable with Mr. Scott. I think he's the best one for the job, and I think he'll do an excellent job.
Well, he always has, and I don't have a problem with that, but I was just want to determine how do we do it, because I know that's been what we've done, we set the precedence, that we would do the lowest and best bid.
Yeah.
And so, that's been done over the years that I've been a part of the board, and I just was asking. I know he does an excellent job with his work.
Alderman Dillard?
I was following along that conversation. So again, it is the summation of their bids. So it's hard for me to evaluate the way that it's being presented. I will say that I just separated all the papers, took the Jack White part, the Concord part, the North Natchez part. I put them in from highest to lowest, highest to lowest, highest to lowest. Dunn came out the lowest on all three of those.
Absolutely. And that's
Who
what I
would be
said.
the best?
That's what I said.
Now, I think the point you were making, Alderwoman Irving, is that if you've taken their cumulative, which, to be honest with you, I don't have I can't do it that fast. In other words, you would take all of Mr. Dunn's and all of Mr. Lee Scott's and all of Mr. Extreme Renovations and determine the lowest and best bid as an aggregate.
With Extreme Renovations, they were over significantly. So when I looked at Mr. Scott as well as Mr. Dunn, they are both low. However, I did meet with them both at all of the sites, and I spoke to them about all three restrooms. And the most comfortable one with me was Mr. Scott. Although they are both capable of getting the job done in a timely manner, Mr. Scott presented more of a complete overall plan and also outlook on the timeline for the restroom completion, as well as more of a comprehensive plan to get it done.
One of the other questions.
Okay, Alderwoman Irving.
It did not include the water fountain at the Concord Park. Would that be replaced unless I overlooked? Did it include?
It's not gonna be done in this phase. We're gonna put the water fountains in phase 2.
Gotcha. All right,
Thank
thank you.
I have a question.
Alderman Frazier.
In doing this, like I said, I don't have really no problem with it. In doing this, you consulted with Mr.
Leah was coming.
Can't think of his name. I would expect you consulted with him.
Mr. Rudder?
Yeah, well, Jody, you consulted with
Yes,
him.
I did, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Call
Thank
the
you, Alderman.
question.
The question has been called. Second. All right, we'll proceed to a vote.
It is the.
Yes, Alderman
I want to
Dillon.
restate it, is that Lee Edward Scott, by your determination, is the lowest and the best bid presented to us concerning this scope of work.
Well, he's not the lowest, but
Well,
I.
Well,
And that, it's a.
It
It's
does
low-
become bid laws. You do have to adhere to bid laws.
Mr. Callaway, why don't you speak to this concern?
The law says lowest and best. It's not just the lowest price. It's who gives us the best package.
I will take it under advisement.
I do want to say, we have, during my administration, just over the last year and a half, seen situations where that lowest was not the best
Exactly.
and ended up resulting in more. Now, I'm not saying that in any way about this contractor. I'm certain you have said they're all capable, but you have said that in terms of the scope of work as described during on-site visits, and also in terms of the timeline provided and the ability to get the job done expediently, you have recommended Mr. Scott. And I believe, being that you are our department director, that we should take your recommendation definitely very seriously.
Thank you.
Alderwoman
Absolutely.
Smith.
One thing that I suggest, so we don't get into this long discussion in future references, was that just that Mr. Rudder would be there to agree with that. Just so that nobody,
Okay.
there have been times in the past where people wondered, is there a favorite or whatever? You're not even from here, so that's not even a thought in my mind. You're doing this because you think it's the right company and you think it's the lowest and best bid. So, but anyway, that one might settle people's minds.
That's a
Future
great
reference.
point. Alderman Frazier.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in defense of, let me see, can I shed a little light on this? In defense of Ms. Cole, the reason I asked that question, and she consulted with Mr. Rudder, is that both of these contractors have been doing extensive work for the city of Natchez for years. So I guess that's why I asked you that question, because Mr. Rudder being inspecting, working with these people, so therefore we know what we're gonna get. I have no issue with either one of them could have got it.
That's
right. I guess that's she decided she wanted, and I'm thinking Mr. Scott do a good job.
Thank you, Alderman
Call the
Fraser.
question.
Second.
The question has been called. We will proceed now to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Thank you.
I will say it's exciting to see progress and finally repairs to the bathrooms.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We now, and you know, this is so important because as we consider what's going on in our community and challenges our young people are facing, it's all more important for us to make sure that we're doing all we can to show our priorities. And we're doing that in our parks, and it will make a difference. Mr. Perrault, you are next up.
Evening, Board. I'm asking for a one-time expenditure to ADSI and to Omnigo to test the importation of our existing data that will export it from Omnigo or our police software and try to import it into the ADSI software.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made
Second.
by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion.
Call for the question.
Second.
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Perrault. City officials reports. Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. I would just like to add to Ms. Cole's report. She's already alluded to how successful that event was. And I just want to give us a many thanks to the Mayor's Youth Council, Mr. Bert Hughes, the chair who was there, along with several of his members who are Kristen Gibbons, Lauren Dunbar, Kaylin Mayer, Carmen Verser, Elizabeth Kate Parsons. They worked tirelessly from beginning to end. They helped decorate and they were there to serve refreshments, as was Ms. Cade and Ms. Deason. So all of these people deserve thanks for their contributions
That's
to that
wonderful.
successful father-daughter
And
dance.
how much did we make again?
1,900,
1,700. That's gonna come in handy.
1,900.
1,900. That's great.
Secondly, thank you. Many years ago, a Mississippi civil rights icon, Miss Fannie Lou Hamer, near her dying days, said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." Well, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of all of this plethora of nefarious, indefatigable attacks on our police chief and the men and women of this police department that is coming from many members of this community. This man is solving crime. I have seen the weapons, illegal weapons that have been confiscated over the years prior to him that were shoved away in storage, never logged in. I've seen evidence before him that was stored away in drawers in the police department. This man is solving crime. His men and women are putting their lives on the line for this community. This community is reaching out to him and his men and women. I've never seen such a confidence in the police department as I have today. People are more comfortable talking to them about what they witness, about who they know were at crimes. They're confiscating weapons that were removed from crimes. And as FDR said 89 years ago, rather, as our 32nd president, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So I'm asking those who are putting out these false rumors that the mayor and board of aldermen are ready to fire him. It's a lie. He's not going anywhere. We're not firing him. He's doing the oath that he was charged to do, as are the men and women of his department. So perhaps those who are so afraid of the success that he is bringing to this city, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that he's getting too close to you, your family members? He's going to uncover something about you and your family members from many years ago? What illegal crimes are you afraid of that he's going to uncover? It's time to stop the nefarious behavior. You know who you are. The community knows who you are. Some of us know who you are. Put it to rest. He's not going anywhere. They took an oath to the Mississippi Constitution, to the Constitution of the United States, to protect, to serve, and defend, and that's what they're doing. So perhaps any of those of you who are fearful of what is happening, maybe it's time for you to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you. I will echo that we do value our chief and our men and women in uniform, and we applaud them in every way. They are working their hearts out, and it does not go unnoticed, nor does it go unappreciated. Next, Alderman report, Alderman Frazier.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First, I would like to say this is Black History Month, and I had the pleasure and honor of attending an event February 11th at the Natchez Coffee House. It was called the American Reckoning. It was a brief event showing events that took place in Natchez in the early 1967 and 64. Now, there was a film reference to the late Wallace Jackson Sr., who was an employee of the Natchez Armstrong Tire and Rubber Company. And this showed this gentleman who obtained a job, a supervisor job, and pay increase, was eventually killed and bombed by the Klansmen. His vehicle ended up on Minor Street, Minersville. And this was, like I said, this was one of the tragic events in the city of Natchez. His son, Wallace Jackson Sr., his daughter, Denise Jackson, she was there. And they spoke on their father and the events that took place and how he was into the civil rights and into doing things. And you look at Mr. Jackson when he was speaking, you could see it was a heart-wrenching thing. This young man who is up in age now and the whole family, they still haven't gotten over what transpired. And Mr. Jackson have trouble sleeping and everything now. And Denise and the rest of the family. And I wish, like I say, I wish everyone in the community could have been there. And there was a lot of people there. And there was a lot of people there who really didn't know anything about what was that took place. But like I say, that was one of the unfortunate events that took place in the city of Natchez. And I say this is something that, like I say, this is something that took place not only in Natchez but throughout the country. And when you look at it today, it's these old wounds are still there, and these people are still hurting. Also, it shows that in the early, also Natchez ended up boycotting the Natchez downtown. That was a pain for them because not only did the Black community suffer, everyone else suffered in the white community because it was a boycott that killed the whole community. And there was a lot of demonstrations going on, protesting. Matter of fact, the majority of the people who was protesting, you'll be surprised, you look at it, was young kids, very young kids out there. I mean, some of them was just barely teenagers. And on the front line, and I can say this, on the front line of the boycott, you seen more Black women than you seen anything who was leading the charge in it. And like I say, it was a painful thing. It was a painful thing to George Metcalf, who was the president of the NAACP. He also was who was bombed. He had bombed. He was the field president, the chapter of the NAACP. And also, I like to thank the Concordia Sentinel newspaper, Mr. Sidney Nelson, who did investigate and reported on this and brought this back to light. I think he did an excellent job. Stanley Nelson, I'm sorry, Stanley Nelson. I'd like to thank him. Also, a very, very young lady, a very, very attractive young lady. She was the secretary, the field secretary for the NAACP, Miss Jessie B. Bernard. We call her Miss Jessie B. Williams. She was out there fighting. She was the coordinator of this thing, this march and stuff. And I like to thank her family. Matter of fact, I like to thank all the people, them Charles Evans, who came down with help with the march, and who was the president after his brother got bombed. He was president. Also, later on, as we learned, I didn't learn that. I know about it, but I didn't know it was that extent that during the march, we had the deacon of defense, and these was black gentlemen who kept peoples in line, the marchers in line. They wasn't, if they told me to get out of line, they put you back in line, because they wasn't going to have a violence. There was a non-violent march. And like people like James Jackson, the Reverend Stokes, the Otis Fleming, James Harris, Richard Lewis, best known as Dip. They was out in front. And there was many more people involved in this march and everything. But as I say, there was one of the unfortunate times in Natchez, and Natchez has came a long way, and we are growing, and we are a community just like every other community in America that we are facing the same old thing. But when I say this, we're gonna fight through it. But last but not least, also I like to thank Mr. Boxley for his effort in the forks of the road and the Interior Department. And their help. And one other person I like to thank is Miss Kathleen Burns and her effort. Barnes and her effort in getting this off the ground with Mr. Boxley. Mr. Boxley has been a great inspiration to this community. And also, I think he's doing something now with the U.S. colored troops. As I say, he is very, very interested in this community. And I can say this, Black history is not just once a month or once a year. Black history is every day. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Alderman Frazier. And I also want to say it was my pleasure to share a table at that breakfast last Friday with former Mayor Tony Byrne, who did so much during his 20 years as mayor. And also 2 officials of the city actually spoke at that event, and they both did an exceptional job of representing our city in their comments. Alderwoman Valencia Hall and Alderman Billy Joe Frazier. And I thank you for that.
Let me give one more shout out to the people who put this on. If I'm not mistaken, the Chamber of Commerce.
Amen. The Adams.
Who came up with this idea to have these people to come here and speak on this unfortunate incident that took place in that. I want to thank them too.
That's right. And that's
Mr. Mayor.
Adams area chamber.
Mr. Mayor, let's
Yes.
add to Mr. Frazier's report that Father William J. Morrissey, pastor of Holy Family Catholic Church,
Yes.
the NAACP met many a day at Holy Family Catholic Church,
Wow.
Parish Hall.
Yes.
And Father Morrissey was the only non-Black officer in the NAACP. He was
Wow.
vice president.
Wow.
So that needs to be known.
We have come a long way, and so many have paved that way for us. Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Frazier, that was a very timely report, and thank you for reminding of us, and also Alderman Hall, that history. Alderwoman Smith, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I was there last Friday at the Friday Forum, and it was very, very moving. But I want to make sure people know that it was about PBS has a program that if you didn't get to see it this past Tuesday, a week ago today, I highly recommend it. And there's a place where it's airing. I saw somebody posted. Do you remember where? If you didn't get to see it, where you can see it?
I am told it's available online.
It's frontline.
And we need to
Frontline.
share that on our city webpage.
Yeah, if we could do that,
Uh,
so everybody can have a
yes.
chance to.
It is
To read it
Frontline
and-
American Reckoning. It's a website.
Okay.
I'll share
Yeah, it was
I have it in
really,
front of
really, really something.
Mhm.
So anyway, I was glad I was able to be there. And I just want to piggyback on the police chief. I'm appreciative of everything he and his department are doing in the community. I'm not hearing this, so I think it might not be a big part of the community that's saying it, but whoever is, I hate that because so many positive, sometimes you see that when positive things start
It's a
happening,
minute amount, but it's enough
you have
to cause
people try to
nefarious
keep some
behavior.
division going, but I know y'all, I know you're working tirelessly. I know you're
Mhm.
going in the middle of the night. You're talking to parents. You're in the community. You're not just of the community. You're in the community. You're out there talking to the people, and I know that your officers are as well. So thank you, and the enthusiasm they have for their jobs and trying to help Natchez fight this crime problem that we seem to be having with our youth, that is just heartbreaking. So, I know what we can do on our part, and it supports you, and to be there to try to find other ways. We know we need more jobs for these kids. We know we need more outreach and programs to help these children. So, but thank you, Chief, Mr. Mayor.
Very good comments. Thank you, Alderwoman. And thank you for your leadership as chairwoman of our police committee. Alderwoman Irving, your report.
I want to begin by giving our chief the honors of you and your members of the police department keeping our city safe. I just encourage anyone, just if you're out there and an incident has taken place, watch the scene. Watch how professional our men are. First of all, they're putting their lives on the line. But they're doing their job. They're securing the area. They're talking to witness. I watched this firsthand. I watched how you have everyone else behind the ropes. You can't come here. And our officers are doing this. I said that to say this. They put their lives on the line for us every single day of the year, 24 hours a day. You have got to respect the man in blue. They are to be respected. You got to respect all of our first responders because that's what they do. They do not know the moment they leave home whether or not they're going to return home that same night. I keep that in mind every single day. And I'm going to ask members of the community to do the same thing. We don't always agree. However, when it comes to someone who has devoted their life to protecting and serving our community, we should respect that highly. Again, Chief, thank you and all your staff for what you do. And we love you. Just know we love you. You have our support.
Yeah.
We love you. I also want to piggyback on what Mr. Frazier said, and it's just something I participated in a Black History program this past Sunday, and I've done several things throughout the month of Black History. But at that program, very similar to what he said, I wrote here, February is designated Black History Month, the shortest month of the year. But Black history should be celebrated every day, 365 days a year, because Black history is American history. Black history is American history. We should be celebrated every day. Also, Mr. Mayor, I received a card, and I just want to acknowledge this. It's from a student at Cathedral. Her name is Leah Tillman. She took the opportunity time out, and the teacher thanked the teacher as well for allowing the students to send a note to us here at City Hall. I see it came in my mailbox on February the 10th, and I attached it to my notepad. So when I came to this meeting today, I could acknowledge it. I just want to say thank you, Leah Tillman, a student at Cathedral. Thank you to the teacher who placed it in her heart to allow those students to write to this mayor and board of aldermen. It shows that they care. And let me just read what she said. She said, "Dear Miss Felicia Irving, thank you so much for all that you do in our little town. Thank you for all the work Thank you for all the work you do. Sincerely, Leah Tippett. Leah, thank you. Thank you so very much to the teacher as well. And more of this should be happening. We should be reciprocating those things, saying words to them as well as they reciprocate these words to us, this mayor and board of aldermen. I feel that. So I want to give you a big air hug, Leah, and thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
Yes, Alderman.
I want to acknowledge that I've seen the hop on and hop off bus more and more. So people are visiting our city, and that is so exciting to me to see that they're making those stops. They're going around town. And Mr. Mayor, they're stopping up at Jack Wake Park, and they're looking at the Angeletti House. But I'm most excited about the appearance of the park. It has made great stride in the appearance of the park. It's clean. It's not everything we want it to be, but the physicality is there. The park is clean. And I thank our recreation department, Ms. Cole. I know you left. However, I do want to say thank you. Thank you. I've seen great stride, and the community is acknowledging it as well. Also, was having a reflection on some of the funds that Mrs. Cole stated that they were had asked for from the board on our last board meeting. We allocated $60,000. And Mrs. Hall, you're here, so I just want to mention this. This is what came to thought, whether or not they had included on the list to purchase trailers. So if tree debris needs to be removed, then trailers could be added to that list, to carry off debris or waste from each part that they may have debris, limbs, trash, or anything that needs to be carried away, trailers to be considered. Also, I received an
No, it's
email.
already on the list.
They on the
It's
list?
on the list.
They are, Ms. Hall?
It's on the list.
Okay,
Okay.
I didn't
Thank
recall
you.
seeing it there, but thank you.
Thank you.
One of the other things that I received an email, and it says the Natchez branch of NAACP is inviting the mayor and board of aldermen, city of Natchez, to a meeting to continue the discussion and set achievable benchmarks for requests made to the board on Tuesday, December 7, 2021. We are inviting all elected and appointed boards to this meeting, which will be held at the Adams County Safe Room, 11 a.m. on Monday, February 28, 2022. Okay. And now I'm down to my final, I want to read this. This is a proclamation on National Black History Month. And this is a briefing from our president, President Joseph Biden. It said each February, it said a proclamation on National Black History Month 2022. Each February, National Black History Month serves as both a celebration and a powerful reminder that Black history is American history. Black culture is American culture, and Black stories are essential to the ongoing stories of America. Our faults, our struggles, our progress, and our aspirations. Shining a light on Black history today is important to understanding ourselves and growing stronger as a nation, as it has ever been. This is why it is essential that we take time to celebrate the immeasurable contributions of Black Americans, honor the legacies and achievements of generations past, reckon with centuries of injustice, and confront those injustices that still fester today. Our nation was founded on an idea that all of us are created equal and deserve to be treated with equal dignity throughout our lives. It is a promise that we have fully lived up to, one that we have never ever walked away from. The long shadows of slavery, Jim Crow, and redlining, and the blight of systemic racism that diminishes our nation today hold America back from reaching our full promise and potentials. But by facing those tragedies openly and honestly, and working together as one people to deliver on America's promise of equity and dignity for all, we become a stronger nation, a more perfect version of ourselves. As the generations, countless Black Americans have demonstrated profound moral courage and resilience to help shape our nation for the better. Today, Black Americans lead industries and move for change, serve our communities and our nation at every level. and advance every field across the board, including arts and sciences, businesses, health, law, and education, and many more. In the face of wounds and obstacles older than our nation itself, Black Americans have been seen in every part of our society today, strengthening and uplifting all of America. Vice President Harris and I are deeply committed to advancing equity, racial justice, and opportunity for Black Americans as we continue striving to realize America's founding promise. That began by building a federal government that looks like America, including the first Black Secretary of Defense, the first Black woman to hold the Office of Management and Budget, the first Black man to lead the Environmental Protection Agency, the first Black woman to lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development in more than 40 years, the first Black chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisor, a Black ambassador representing America at the United States, and the first Black and South Asian vice president in our history. We have been proud to announce accomplishment Black Americans to serve in a vast array of roles across our administration. I am prouder to have already nominated 8 Black women to serve as federal appellate judges, watching in just 1 year the total number of Black women who have ever served on federal appeals courts. My administration has worked hard to reverse decades of underinvestment in Black communities, schools, and businesses. Both the American Rescue Plan and the bipartisan infrastructure law are historic investments in Black America. From vaccine shots in arms to checks in families' pockets and tax cuts for working families with children, to a landmark of $5.8 billion investment in the support of historically Black colleges and universities. And in my first year of office, the American Rescue Plan provided the full child tax credit to lower income families of more than 26 million children who are disproportionately Black, and put on a path to cut Black child poverty in half. As the infrastructure law continues to be implemented, we will expand on that progress. Lead service lines that have contaminated the water of too many homes and schools in Black communities will be removed and replaced. That was lead service lines. We will deliver high school speed internet to every community so that no Black family is left behind in the 21st century economy. Historic investments in Black transportation will help more people in neighborhoods get to where good jobs actually are quickly and safely. We will reconnect Black neighborhoods, cut from opportunity by highways that were built to brush them aside. Long-standing environmental injustices have hit Black communities the hardest will be remediated. We will deliver major investments in Black entrepreneur and small businesses, including making the Minority Business Development Agency permanent and seeing it with a record of $110 million in new resources to help level the playing field for Black businesses. But this is only the start. To fulfill America's promise for all, we will work tirelessly in the year ahead to deliver on Build Back Better agenda, bringing down the costs that families face on childcare, housing, education, healthcare, prescription drugs, and so much more. We will continue to battle the COVID-19 pandemic with the equity at the center of our response. We will not rest until we have protected the foundation of our democracy, the sacred right to vote. We will fight to keep the dismantling of all those instructional inequities that have served as barriers for Black families for generations. As we celebrate the National Black History Month, let us recommit ourselves to reach for that founding promise. Let us continue to fight for equity, opportunity, and dignity to which every Black American is due in equal measure. Let us carry forward the work to build an America that is, in the beautiful words of the poet Amanda Gorman, bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. And I'm not going to read the rest, but it does say, now therefore I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of the America, by the virtue of authority vested in him by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2022 as National Black History Month. I call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of the United States to serve this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. That ends my report.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing.
Yes.
I have a neighborhood watch meeting, St. Catherine Street area neighborhood watch meeting. Where? Shiloh Baptist Church, 12 Perrault Street, Natchez, Mississippi. Wednesday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. Our special guest would be our Natchez Police Chief, Joseph Daltrey, Dispatcher Director, Mrs. Annette Fields. And Chief, again, we understand, I put your name here out of respect because you are our police chief. So we're just asking for a representative if you're not to come. And we want to thank you again for all that you do. That ends my report.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Alderman Davis?
Mr. Mayor? one other
Yes.
thing. Could we spread this among our minutes as well?
Certainly.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
If you'll provide a copy
Yes,
of that
sir.
to the clerk.
Yes, sir.
Now, Alderman Davis, your report.
Okay. I would also like to thank the chief for the job he's doing. And also, I'd like to thank the fire chief and all the other department heads for his transit, recreation, water, inspection, all the department heads for the city.
Absolutely.
But me, the mayor, and the fire chief, we went around the other day and inspected all the fire departments. And soon, later on, I'm gonna be coming to the board about some improvements for the fire department, because the fire department, they still have some leaks and they need some paint, some flooring, and things like that done. And basically, that ends my report. I just want to inform you about what I'm gonna be coming to you about late. Okay. Oh yeah, the fire chief here training right now.
Wow.
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Got it.
I want to tell you, I enjoyed that tour with y'all so much Friday, and it was so good to visit all 4 stations and to just see the exceptional firefighters and emergency staff that we have in Natchez. Wow, a picture says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, yes, Alderman Fraser.
Well, Alderman Davis there, over there, I need to ask him questions in reference to the fire department. Then the question that I have anyone talked to you about the boat that we have, the rescue boat that we had down the port?
I talking about it's like a pontoon or something like that. I know what the boat is. The fire chief talked to me about it.
Okay, the reason why I asked you that, I had someone from the port committee, from the port commission, I was in Walmart somewhere, and he stopped me and asked me about the boat that was dedicated, that was given to the city for the fire department. It's down there, and he said that it's deteriorating, and they want to know what.
We got a plan with the fire chief.
Well, I'm just relaying the message, what the commissioner told me. It's down there, and it's just deteriorating. If the city don't do, and they're not responsible. If a big storm come up and the boat blows away, they say they're not responsible. So
we discussed it. We can't get rid of it. In other words.
well,
We do have another boat, and we saw it at,
Not that, this is another one.
yeah.
well,
We'll look into
several
that.
people came up because the reason why, because the port commission said someone wanted to buy that boat. So I guess you'll straighten it out.
Thank you. Alderman, thank you for your report. Alderman Dillard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think I could say anything any more eloquent than what's been said tonight. But one thing is that in both of those departments and all of our city departments, and even the members of this board, there's a reason, a lot of people say, well, I work here, or I work at Exxon, or I work. And in all of these law enforcement and those that serve the public is the word serve. It's more than a job. It has to be more than a job. You didn't get into it for the money, for sure. So my appreciation to all who serve their fellow man and their community at large for the betterment of us all. On a second point, Mr. Mayor, I want to bring up something that could have come up under unfinished business, and there was a discussion about our employee handbook. And I'm not sure, but there may have been some progress made on it, and I would like to request a copy of the handbook from the city clerk, if those are available. I think I could benefit from it. I'm sure I got one in a previous administration, but it's probably the same place where, I left my Brill cream or something, so I'd like to get a copy of it. In addition, Mayor, I did come across a social media policy that I was able to obtain, and I have given this to the city attorney for his review, that it may be something of just a starting point, that we look at this and see if there is the way it's structured or the topics that it covered that could be of value to the city of Natchez. Having read through it, one of the points that I want our employees to understand, particularly if you're representing the city of Natchez in any way, is that in this day and age, anything posted is forever. It really is. It's in a cloud somewhere, and someone can find it if they want to look for it hard enough. And so it gives a whole different attitude. And old dinosaurs like me who, I still type with one finger, and I don't know how to do all the things that you can do with social medias. I'm probably just incapable of using it. So anyhow, I would like to present this to the attorney for his review, and maybe at the next meeting, Mr. Mayor, we could have a much more enlightened discussion along these policies. And I would like to get a copy of the most current city handbook. That ends my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Alderman Dillard, that handbook dates back to the early part of the 2000s. We will get a copy. You also should have a copy that's been provided of the revision that is under review now. And in fact, I had a discussion today with Charlotte Franklin, who has been helping us with that. And we are still trying to get connected to the Sense Institute.
I tried calling myself, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
It seems like the phone is off the hook. So if we can get further in this discussion, I believe there are resources available that have already addressed this issue in a way that they can't answer everything because it's moving that fast.
Right.
However, it can provide guidelines for which we can determine what would be appropriate and what's not appropriate, and when it can be used to the advantage.
Well, we actually had a visit with Debbie Hudson, Germany, Friday, and she is helping us to get a connection with the Sense Institute because our connections have not worked out. And then today, we did give Ms. Franklin a copy of your proposed policy for social media, and she already has one in there that had been borrowed from another city, and she's going to compare that and then obviously have the input from the city attorney. But I will echo in what you said. Everyone needs to understand you're representing the city, and just be careful. When you are making a post on a city-owned device and on a social media platform and representing the city, just be careful what you post. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to ask for a personal privilege. I actually, under my mayor's report, under miscellaneous update, one thing that I was going to share with you is something that has just come to our attention. And I have asked Mr. Tony Heidelberg to be here this evening for just a brief report on it. This is something that we have had as a city to do in the past with regard to the casino. It is a formality that we need to address tonight in a timely fashion.
Yes.
Mr. Tony Heidelberg, representing Magnolia Bluff, a very important partner to our city and our economy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, one
Yes.
thing, Mr. Attorney, would it be appropriate for me to ask for a recusal at this
Yes.
time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I believe that would be appropriate.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's with your
Yes.
good grace and blessings.
All right. Thank you. We will retrieve you, Alderman, when the discussion is concluded. Thank you.
I will remember this at our next meeting.
Thank you. Yes.
We need to make sure those minutes reflect his recusal and his
Yes.
absence in the room.
Yes.
All right. Due to a potential or
of
implied
interest.
conflict of interest.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Mr.
Mr.
Heidelberg.
Mr.
welcome.
Mayor, first thing as a citizen of Natchez, Alderwoman Hall, Alderman Frazier, Alderwoman Smith, Mayor, Alderwoman Irving, Alderman Davis, and in his absence, Mr. Dillard. I'm going to tell you, I am delighted with the progress that the city has made over the last couple of years. It's a wonderful delight to pull up to see that we really have very few houses for sale. And that when a house hits the market, it is actually gone pretty much before it hits the market. I've been traveling quite a bit over the last couple of months, and Natchez has come up not only in Atlanta, but it's come up out of the country, and it's come up in other cities that they were talking about. Man, things are on and popping. I guess there's an undercurrent that I'm not familiar with, where people discuss up and coming cities, and you all are doing a great job and keep the good work up. That's just as a citizen of Natchez. I just got to say that. To my chief, I do say my chiefs. they're doing excellent jobs. I mean, I know it's not easy. And he took on this job knowing that it was not going to be easy. We didn't expect what we have now, but hey, this is a part of the grind, and I know that he's equipped for this job, and he's going to do that. On behalf of the casino, now the reason why I stand here, a couple of years ago we did some refinancing, changed lenders. We're keeping our same lender, but we're doing some things with this refinancing that's going to benefit Natchez greatly. Some things I just can't disclose at this moment, but it's going to be positive. Those who've been down to the casino, you've seen the renovations as far as playmakers and those things. We brought the stage back for live entertainment, and now we have what we call a smokehouse in there. We closed a part of it off because we're smoke free for the casino itself, and we're committed to maintaining that particular level. But we have some of those patrons who are saying we just don't want to go back outside. So we created a whole new room that allows them to participate and be able to enjoy the smokes with the state-of-the-art evacuation system so that no one will walk out smelling like smoke. We're going to be renovating the hotel soon. And I know you're saying to yourselves, and I'm going ahead and say what you're saying, the hotel looks awesome. I know what you're saying. But Kevin Preston believes they can do better. And we have this thing that we're bringing sexy back to Natchez. So that's going to be our theme of how we're going to approach the hotel and the renovations and keep it new and keep it fresh. This estoppel is just a part of the process whereby we've got to have the city, who is our landlord, execute this document with the tenant to go ahead and move forward. We hope to have this closed out by the first week of March. So that's why it came up like all of a sudden. And I apologize for that.
All right, Mr. Heidelberg, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
We do appreciate what you and Mr. Preston and Magnolia Bluffs mean to our city, to our economy. At this time, I will entertain a motion to allow the city, me to, on behalf of the city, sign this estoppel certificate.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion. We'll
Call the
call
question.
for the question. Mr. Callaway, did you have something to
I was just going to tell the board that I've reviewed the estoppel certificate. Y'all have signed one like this in the past and found nothing irregular.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll proceed now then to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I will come by tomorrow if you don't mind and pick it up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Alderwoman.
I just want to
Smith.
thank you, Mr. Heidelberg, for coming in here to say something positive. Thank you. We don't always get that. People come in for a meeting, and oftentimes it's for a complaint. So we appreciate your support.
Well deserved.
And we appreciate what y'all do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're going to get the sign from him.
Yeah, I come by the office to get it tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go back to our agenda.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Alderman Dillard.
Oh, yeah.
let's. We actually almost did that to Alderwoman Smith one time. Thank you, Alderman Davis, Alderman Frazier. Okay. Alderman Dillard, we are so grateful that Alderman Frazier reminded us that we needed to send Alderman Davis to get. I want to tell you, we had a very good report from Mr. Heidelberg and the Board of Aldermen with you, obviously recusing yourself, did pass affirmative action allowing signature of the estoppel certificate.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Mr. Heidelberg.
Real quickly, one thing that we also do is that we try to help our police department and our sheriff's department
Yes.
in various ways. What I implemented a few years ago was a pay thing for their services for just being on the property. Much to our delight, we have very low crime down there. Very minor issues come up, and it's all because of a presence. I know the police department at one time, they were down there. It's probably 4 years since that time. I know the sheriff's office has taken over the bulk of that. We have an officer down every day, and we pay the officer additional monies. And we're offering the police department that opportunity as well. I know some of the young men want some additional funds, and young ladies, we just don't just say young men because young ladies get paid and work down there too. So if the city would find in their hearts to maybe consider that, we'll modify our process and split it half and half between the county and the city and provide that additional
Mr. Heidelberg,
resource.
that's very generous.
Mr.
If you
Mayor.
would, we'll have to obviously look into the issue,
Yes.
have it come back here, but we do invite you to have those discussions with our police chief.
We'll definitely
Thank
do that. We'll definitely.
Mr. Mayor,
I'm sorry, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. I would like, if anyone is off duty, I don't see why they can't, but I would not have any kind of contract with our police department to provide
Yeah.
services.
There are a few things that pursuant to the new statute that's required, but we can
I
do
don't know
that.
any sense of impropriety anywhere.
Yeah, because
Yes, yes. I know that we do. So I invite you to work with the
Yes, I
chief,
will.
but if there
I
is
will.
anything needed from this board, please let us know. Alderman Frazier.
yes, Mr. Mayor, it's been like 2.5 years ago that the police was down there.
yes, sir.
It was an incident that took place with one of the officers. That's why
Right.
it ceased. But it just was one incident that ceased. But other than that, it wasn't a big issue, nothing like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the police department would greatly appreciate it. To go back down there and work. And
Yes.
I think as this board, I think we could see in our heart that we want to take care of our police department.
Yeah.
And to have them to come back down there. And I know some of the officers would love to come down there.
Right.
So I thank you, sir.
Okay, and I get with your city attorney because there are a few
Yeah.
things that we've got to go through to make sure that we're in compliance. Make that happen.
Yes, definitely.
Mr. Callaway?
Probably gonna leave this contract with the clerk. I've already got his signature, but he is busy in meetings all the time.
Oh, I know
The
this.
Clerk will probably have it in her office.
Great.
All right, Miss,
It sounds
thank you
good.
again, Mr.
Thank you all.
Oliver.
Thank you.
God bless. We will now go back to our agenda and we'll recognize our Madam City Clerk.
I'm keeping it very short and sweet this meeting. First item I have is a request for approval of the 2nd February 2022 claims docket.
So
What's the
moved.
pleasure of the
Second.
board? Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
Page 25. It's with Burns Insurance Agency. Are these 5 new vehicles or are these 5 vehicles already in service?
All right, these are 5 of the leased vehicles that
Correct.
were not in service or in use when the policy renewed. So now we have those in service and they have been added to the policy.
So if I was to ask the total number of new leased vehicles in service, would that be?
I'm gonna refer.
Is it-
that.
if it's
She's
five-
the one that's been working on the tags, so she can
Okay.
give us the exact number. I mean, we have over 200, of the enterprise lease vehicles that are in service of the police department.
I just sent out forward.
If it's more than 5, that answers my question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had,
it's more than
yeah, when
five.
it renewed, we had several vehicles already in service. And since that policy renewed, we had 5 more added.
The enterprise leased bids. Thank you.
Correct. So that's what these are.
Thank you.
I know we are contracted for 13 and then an additional 2 for fire department. And I believe we're now under the grant looking at a 14th vehicle. I believe those numbers are right.
They are, they are.
All right. Other discussion on the claims docket.
Call for the question. Second.
Question's been called. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
I also want to include Miss America, ma'am,
Yes,
since we voted on it, to exclude me. from-
yes. As
Thank you.
always, let the minutes reflect
Mr.
that
Mayor.
Alderwoman Hall recuses herself.
No,
No,
Alderwoman
Irving.
Irving recuses
I'm
herself.
sorry. I'm looking at you, Alderwoman
Yes.
Hall.
No, understand.
And it is late after a very long day.
Yes.
And long weekend. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. I would just like to reiterate that according to Mississippi Code annotated 1972, an abstention is a vote with the majority, and a recusal is completely removing oneself from any any semblance of impropriety or conflict of interest.
So a recusal is the
Complete
appropriate term.
removal. An
Okay.
abstention is a vote with the majority.
Okay, all right, thank you. The motion, by the way, passes. We'll now move to the second item, Madam Clerk.
Second item is my request for approval of the 2nd February 2022 mini claims docket.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Call the question.
Is this the mini doc?
The mini docket.
Yeah, the only question I have, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman
would be is this the total millage allotment to the Armstrong Library? It looks like a big number. I don't know if that's,
It's actually the October through December collection.
oh,
17,000.
thank you.
Okay. And that indicates a good collection of passes. That's very good. Any further discussion?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Second, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Well, I do see something a little bit different there, and I just want to make the question with the mini docket.
Yes,
Okay,
I'll
so
entertain that.
she's coming to it, so maybe I could wait and just see, there's a difference in the dollar amount. It's not much, Megan, but it is. In the dollar amount, you got 1,020,000.
Okay, so this with interest and
Okay,
so forth, yeah.
okay,
Oh,
So
we're
that was
talking
the
about,
total payoff for the Weymouth Hall
okay.
oh, yes.
EWP loan. So
Yes.
the initial loan was 1,020,000. Slightly more. I don't remember the exact number.
Okay.
But with the interest and fees
Okay,
and all
gotcha.
associated with the
Thank
loan,
you.
that was the payoff.
Thank you.
I want to say too, I was in a meeting Friday and got interrupted to sign that check. And I was so excited to sign the check when you can pay off a loan of that amount.
Well,
And
and the
call it
exciting news
closed.
is
That's
we
a great
did
thing.
not have to extend the loan,
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
reimbursements did come in time to get it paid without an extension.
Very
Absolutely.
good. I'm glad we had a chance to point that out. Madam Clerk, the approval of loans from previous clerk.
Okay, yes, asking retroactive approval for the following loans. And this is just a little bit more of the house cleaning that we've been doing. On October 26th of 2021, there was a loan in the amount of $3,000 made from the general fund to the 329 North Natchez Drainage Fund with a notation to cover a payment to WGK, who is the contractor. And then on October 28th of 2021, in the amount of $281,500, this loan was made from the 108 Special Fire Fund to the 329 North Natchez Drainage. to cover docket expenses. But it's worth noting to you all that that is a portion of a reimbursement that was actually due to the 300 capital improvement that, like it came up before, that 108 is often used kind of like a federal clearinghouse. The entire reimbursement that was received was $282,614.31. And so when this loan is repaid, it will be repaid to that 300 capital improvements rather than the 108.
Thank you very much. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Second.
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Also retroactive approval of the following transfers on February 17th, 2022. A loan in the amount, a transfer in the amount of $1,500 from the general fund to the 135 Visitor Center Fund. This was to cover docket expenses, which is a loan payment that we are making to Concordia Bank and Trust for the carpet and the chairs at the convention center that has been historically taken from the 135. That is something that I think we need to move that expense to the general fund out of the 135. So I'll make those necessary corrections on the next invoice, and also the $10 rent to the National Park Service for the space at the visitor center.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there's one other item.
One additional transfer was on February 14th of 2022 from the Special Fire Fund to the 300 capital improvements for the remainder of that $282,614.31 reimbursement for capital improvement. And that reimbursement was actually received September 29th of 2021, and the remainder of it was never moved to the appropriate account. So just
All
want
right.
to kind of get that cleaned up.
I'll entertain the motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion on the motion?
Call for the question.
Call for the question. All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Last item, Madam Clerk.
Last item is request for approval of travel for Ms. Caroline Deason and Ms. Consuela Cade to Biloxi from May 2nd through May 4th for the Mississippi Society of Human Resource Management Conference.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion made. Gosh, so many making it. Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion on the motion.
Call the question.
Second. The question's been called. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, that is a great report and so efficient. And you and Ms. Bell and your staff are doing so much to get us going in such a good direction. I also want to say, I am excited that Caroline Deason is our Director of HR, and that she and Consuela Cade are doing so much to further yourselves and take advantage of education.
Mm-hmm.
And I frankly don't know where we would be, Ms. Deason, without you. And thank you for all you do for us. We appreciate you so much.
Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank the city clerk's office. They have gotten all of our minutes up to date. We are now on track to our next meeting to be on date with the actions of the board, which are legal documents.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's a great accomplishment. Very good. Very good. I like meetings like this.
It ain't over yet.
All right now, Alderman. We're going to move on now to the city attorney's report.
Just when it was going good, they called in.
Alderwoman Irving has said it multiple times. We do love each other. I tell you. All right, Mr. Callaway.
I hope, I was looking in my packet and I only have Watkins and Eager's response to our request for proposal on consulting on these American Recovery Funds. Butler Snow also made a submission. I hope you have a copy of that one in there also.
They do.
We do.
And just, Watkins and Eagers, who we have been working with, we did that on an emergency basis, but now it's time to retain a lawyer pursuant to our professional services standards. Butler Snow made the presentation at the Mississippi Municipal League Winter Conference, very reputable law firm. I think we're comparing apples to apples. Watkins and Eagers rates come in slightly lower than Butler Snow's. We have been working with Brian Smith on this so far, and it is my recommendation that we remain with Watkins and Eager and use them as a consultant.
So
to help
moved.
us with
Second.
American Recovery Funds.
All right, the motion has been made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. We will now entertain discussion. Call for the question.
Call. Second.
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Yes.
discussion.
Well, we just voted
Just
on
voted.
that motion. And then
Well,
called
we
the
can't-
question.
I mean, just, I do want to say this, and it's.
Yes, sure.
I'm not in opposition of it, but so what I'm asking is this, the hour rates that I see here,
Yeah.
how do we tally that? How will we
They
tally
will,
the hours that they're gonna be paid? That's all I
well,
wanted to
Mr.
ask.
Johnston is actually our key
Okay,
individual.
okay,
He reaches out to them when necessary, and then those bills are then Mr. Johnson keeps up with and they present it. But I want to tell you, under the new scenario now that so many restrictions have been removed for cities and counties that are falling under that 10 million threshold, I don't think we'll have to utilize them as much as we previously anticipated. Is that right, Mr. Callaway?
I believe that's right, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
There's still federal procurement laws have to be taken into account when we're spending this money in addition to state laws. And that involves the Code of Federal Regulations. Lawyers can't know everything. We don't want to be repaying the government. It's worth consulting with these guys. Plus, we have reporting guidelines we have to adhere to starting in April, I believe. Madam Clerk and these guys can walk us through that labyrinth also.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Next item, Mr. Callaway.
Not on the docket, but for your entertainment value. Under these American Recovery Funds, it is time for the city to make a rescue. I'm awake. Make a selection on how we are going to calculate our lost revenue. The final rule just came down. We have the option of selecting the standard allowance, which is up to $10 million, which we're not getting $10 million, which allows a lot more leeway to spend this money for general government services and streamlines our reporting requirements. Or we can go through complete full revenue loss calculation. And the wisdom is that we need to select the standard allowance of up to $10 million, which will give us more freedom on how we spend this money and cut down our reporting. It just means as long as we're under $10 million, it's a lot easier for us to make use of our funds.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we go with the standard.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
So, yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, so, and I really would like to piggyback on what our attorney just said, that we come together, because we need more discussion as to how we want to see. Can any of this money be allocated in our neighborhoods? And I'm just asking, hypothetically asking a question. We need to have a discussion, and that's what I was gonna ask, that when we come together, we can all decide. I'm just piggyback on what Alderman Dillard said several months ago. We all have issues in our neighborhood that need to be addressed. So we come together, maybe in a work session, like we've done before, and have that meeting so we can bring those to the board as a whole.
Certainly, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Certainly.
That's all I wanted to
Further
add.
discussion? Okay. The question's been called. Second.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Attorney?
Medical marijuana. It was effective, signed by the governor as of February 2nd. The first major deadline this city needs to look at is if we are going to opt out of selling, producing, let me see. Our first opt-out period is 90 days from February 2nd. So,
Bless
that-
you.
ma'am,
Oh,
Oh, I'm saying bless that
no,
person.
continue going.
I'm sorry. The medical marijuana is going to be controlled by the Mississippi Department of Health and the Mississippi Department of Revenue for the most part. The city can enact zoning ordinances. There are already some restrictions in the bill, such as it has to be 1,000 feet from a church or a school, but there's an opt-out provision for a church or a school that could allow it to be within 500 feet. I don't really think the city wants to put this in a historic district.
No.
It needs to be more in a commercial or industrial setting. So we need to. I think assistance from the planning, Mr. Walker, would have helped us with this, Mr. Mayor. And it's another 455-page bill. I have tried to summarize it, but Waverly, Harkins, and Watkins and Eager did a wonderful job. And I
Yes,
see
very
in my package, Butler
Butler
Snow.
Snow.
So first hurdles for the board are if we want to opt out of any of the provisions, we have 90 days to do it. And if we're going to enact zoning ordinances, I recommend that we go ahead and start enacting our zoning ordinances. They're not going to be licensing these dispensaries or anything for 120 days. So we're still ahead of that. But let's go ahead and get with the planner and start making recommendations and get that done as far as zoning.
Okay.
I don't
I
know
think
how
we
deep
should
you want
state,
me to go.
I think we should state this, though, for the record. I can only, of course, speak for myself, but I believe the Alderman would agree. The election indicated that over 70% of the residents in our area recognize the value of medical marijuana if it is delivered to the patient in the appropriate manner. It certainly is a much safer alternative to what can become a dependency on opioids and artificially derived chemicals. So I don't expect the city of Natchez in any way to oppose what the governor has authorized and the state legislature has authorized. However, this board obviously does have a say in where that facility or facilities should be. And that, I will say, I'll just open that to any discussion. We don't have to get into the weeds tonight, but if there is anything that you desire to do, Alderwoman Smith. And
For now, do we need to go ahead and make the motion that we're not going to opt out and get that part done?
You do not have to make a motion to
Okay.
not opt out.
You just have to not opt
You
out.
have to opt
Okay.
out or.
So no action.
Well, I think we want
required.
our board to agree on it.
Okay.
So there's a thought there just for a vote.
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I had several hands up before you, Alderwoman.
sure,
I'm
sure.
sorry. Alderwoman Irving and then Alderman Frazier. I'm trying to go in order.
Well, thank you. And after just hearing your conversation and reading this information, Mayor, I'm glad that this board as a whole decided that we won't opt out. It's much needed for a lot of our members in our community. What I would like to just see is that we're fair, equitable, resources are provided. I mean, we don't want to limit anyone. I just heard the word historic district. And I think we just opened a dispensary right here on MLK. Think that's not the dispensary location, Mayor?
No.
Can't be licensed.
They aren't
She has
licensed yet.
let me just refer it then. Let me just reflect back. She does have 2 locations. And so one is a dispensary, and then the other one is a store that we just did the ribbon cutting at. She does have 2 locations. I've heard that term, and I'm asking that question. But again, I just want things to be fair,
Right.
equitable, and resources provided. It's not a power struggle. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Frazier and then Alderwoman Hall.
We're getting into medical marijuana and what, just as me, what I would like to suggest is that we can sit up and say, we want to put this in the historical district. We don't want to do this, we want to do that. I think that we should have a public forum or something whereby the public can have input on what they want and what district they want in. Because like I say, we're dealing with medical marijuana. This is bigger than what we think it is. And because you're getting into growers, users, and all this stuff. So I think that the public should have a little input on which way we want to go. But we're going to make the laws, but we don't want a whole lot of kickback. And like I say, medical marijuana is badly needed because there's a lot of people out there who do need this for health reasons. And other people just don't need it for health reasons. They just need it for pleasure and leisure. So,
It's not described like that.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. I think we can establish that it not be in the historic district. And the law is already stated not within 1,000 feet of the school or church. But I think it should be near a medical facility. This is medical marijuana
Okay,
or a
thank
medical clinic.
Thank you, Alderwoman. I want to just note that I'm allowing discussion, but there is no motion on the floor. But I'm just wanting to have some discussion. But at some point, we'll have to bring this back. We will need a
Alderman
motion
Smith
at some
wanted to
point.
make a motion.
Alderwoman Smith.
I just wanted to clarify that medical marijuana dispensaries have not been open here. CBD is not THC. So I just want to make sure they're legal. She's legally doing
Yeah,
that.
she's
I
legal.
mean, it's in every convenience store. CBD is everywhere. It's in every
I get
stuff
that.
you
And
use.
And I
she'll
know
be
exactly
allowed.
what that
Okay,
is.
I just say you
I
were
get
saying that we had a dispensary here, but we don't. We have a store that offers CBD products.
Okay, thank you.
You don't know, but I'll talk with you.
Oh,
I
is she
would-
doing it illegal.
I would
say illegal.
I would suggest that the city attorney has provided us some very good information. I would say that between now and our next meeting, to get some clarity on what direction we want to go in here, and then be ready if there is a motion needed or not needed. Just go ahead and be ready to take that action at our next meeting. Alderwoman Smith?
May I suggest that the ordinance committee get some ordinances to present to the whole board? Like, go ahead and get some pre-planning done for what some other
Certainly.
cities have done. We can see.
Certainly, the ordinance committee,
Absolutely. Yeah.
the chairwoman of that committee so desires can get that process underway. Yes, yes, Alderwoman
I
Overhead.
do agree with Alderman Frazier. I think this is something we need more community involvement.
Okay.
We need to hear from our community what they want. I mean, because this is who is going to be prescribed those prescriptions to see. Let's get some input from them.
Okay,
It's important that we do that,
All
get
right.
community involvement.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Alderwoman Smith?
Just one last thing. I'm hearing a lot of people, would say not in historic district because we're thinking not just in regular retail stores. They're medical. It's a medical marijuana dispensary. And there are a lot of people who think near doctor's offices and things like that. So we just got to use our
Okay.
common
Mayor,
sense.
may I make?
Yes, Alderman Dillard?
I think that's
Yes.
where your city planner comes in. This is a zoning and an occupancy type of decision.
Yes.
And I think he can bring great clarity to it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I need order so that we can hear Alderman Dillard restate that last point. I
Well,
didn't hear it.
I think that this is where your city planner is going to be a very valuable asset because we're really talking about zoning is what we're talking about. The fact that it has been passed by the state of Mississippi is not the question. It is where in a zoning, which you have your city code and how that's going to operate, and that's where your planner advises you, quite frankly. If you can think of it as a therapeutic or something more akin to a medical clinic, it may envision more clearly of a picture that you're discussing, as opposed to a convenience store
Yes.
or just a retail store. But the planner is going to be able to help you, and I agree with you. Between now and then, more information can be gathered, and I think we will have a better footing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I thank you. Alderman Davis?
Well, I know one thing we have to change, like in the city handbook, that when we're dealing with marijuana, that there's gonna have to be a change in there too, because with city employees.
City attorney has to be thought of.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
When-
Alderwoman Hall?
yes, when the ordinance committee meets, we can make sure that Mr., our interim planner will be available for any discussions with our ordinance committee.
Okay.
The ordinance
thank you.
committee will be involved in this.
All right, thank you. Very good discussion. We will now proceed to the mayor's report. I'm sorry, Mr. Callaway?
I don't mean to interrupt you ever.
That's
Mr.
all
Mayor,
right.
But I have, there's a new film being,
Oh, I'm sorry.
a new movie being filmed in
Yes.
Natchez, and I have two contracts. One, they would like a police car for a couple hours tomorrow, and they're paying $100. Is that right, Mr. Chief? And then on the 23rd, or $200. On the 23rd, they want to shoot a scene at the police department, and they'll be paying $100. And we need authority for the mayor, chief to sign these contracts and allow City of Natchez to contribute to these movies, which are wonderful for our tourism.
So moved.
and bring the city.
Second.
The motion made by Alderwoman Smith. And I've got to tell you, y'all got to get fast on the draw. I think Alderwoman Smith has made every motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded it. Any discussion on the motion?
Call the question. Call the question.
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. I would like to request that those funds be diverted back to the police department account
Awesome.
because they need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is $100 an hour or 100 just flat use. It's flat fee.
They're not driving the car, they're just getting.
Okay. Well, it's not much money, but still, hey, every little bit helps. Yeah. I tell you, write a few more tickets to go along with it and we'll be in good shape. I did just say that, didn't I? Mayor's report. Approval to participate with Adams County in a small community airport services grant by appropriating $200,000 in ARPA funds to risk mitigation for commercial airlines. The county approved $300,000 today, and we are excited to be able to partner with them in this. Had very good meeting in San Antonio last week.
Awesome.
Very successful. Even had another good meeting with another airline yesterday, electronically from the airport.
The motion for you to discuss.
I'm just throwing that out because I want a little background. It's just going so well. So I will entertain the motion. Listen to
Second.
that.
Call the question.
Wait a minute. I think Alderman Davis made that motion.
I didn't, but that's okay.
No, Alderman, I'm going to give it to Alderwoman Smith. She
No,
was
it
on it.
doesn't matter.
She was on it. I'm going to recognize Alderman Davis with the second. And now discussion. Yes, Alderman Frazier.
To be perfectly honest with the board, I wasn't gonna vote for this,
Yes.
but what I did some research on this, and I found out that, what transpired is that, like I said, we had put up 200,000. And the reason why we had to put up 200,000, in order for us to get this grant, we had to put up this money.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
from my understanding that, Supervisor Gray, he made a recommendation that we put up $300,000 in order for us to secure the grant. That is the only way that we can get this grant is to put up this money. So,
Yeah.
I just want to say that, and I did some research on it. I'm on board with it.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
May I clarify, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the safety net fund somewhat.
Yes.
It might not be used, but it might be used. So
That's
just-
correct.
So people
That's
understand
correct.
that. It-
And one more thing, this money is coming out of, the money that we are putting up is coming out the road.
The ARP.
The ARP.
ARP.
So I just wanna, I'm saying that I just wanna let the public know about this. We're not just jumping up and making decisions.
Thank you. Yes, Alderwoman
I
Irving.
just want to say that this is a win-win for the city of Natchez. It is. This is a plus.
I
800 people traveling,
Yeah.
here from the city of Natchez. We need it.
we do.
Just hoping,
We do.
Call for the question.
All right, the question's been
Second.
called. Mr. Callaway's not letting it go yet. Yes, Mr. Callaway. And we will need, the motion needs to state also that we will enter into an interlocal agreements with the county for the purposes of appropriating these funds. Like I said, it's been a long day, Mr. Callaway.
Friendly amendment?
Me.
Will you accept the friendly
Yeah,
amendment?
all right, the friendly amendment's been accepted. Alderman Frazier,
With the exception that we're putting up 200, the county's putting up.
that's right.
Yeah, we've already said
Yes, yes, that's right. Before we go to the previous question, I do want to clarify something. You will be able, Tuesday at 10 a.m., March 1st, in our special call meeting at 10 a.m., you will be able to meet Jeremiah Gerald, the consultant, and you will be able to see firsthand the extremely impressive report that he's been giving the airlines. And I want to say that we have possibly 3 airlines providing letters of support for us. And one of those 3 may be very interested next year. 2 of those 3 may be very interested this year. And a lot depends on getting runway improvements complete. About almost $6 million underway right now in runway improvements. And if we can get those finished by summer, and also the LED lighting improvements finished by summer, we will be in good shape. But we also still have to solve the question of broadband. But there is a local provider right now preparing what we think may be a very good competitive quote for that. So a lot of reason to be optimistic, and the public needs to know. I know that there's been some communication back and forth on social media. Imagine that, about the idea of putting in 500,000 here. But the public needs to know that this is being done nationally by airports all across this country. And if Natchez is to compete, we have to get to that level. And that is something, if we don't do it, then we can kiss commercial air traffic goodbye before it even comes. It is a very necessary step. I want to say, though, thank you to this board for supporting me in making the trip to Baton Rouge in November and making the trip last week to San Antonio. For the first time in many, many years, Natchez has been represented at these conferences. If you aren't there, you're not going to play.
That's right.
And we are there. And Richard Nelson's doing a fantastic job. The entire commission at our airport, to include the chairman, John McCullough, and the vice chairman, Mr. Ware, they are to be applauded in what they're doing to support this, along with our board of supervisors. I just had to say all of that for the record. Now I'll entertain the question. Call for the
Second.
question. We'll proceed now to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I want to also say this, just one last word on this. The airport representatives, airline representatives we met, and other consultants around the country, they said it really is amazing to see a city and county working together like we're doing here. And they said that is a rarity across the country to see municipal governments working together. So it's a great thing. Discussion of animal ordinance. So our ordinance committee met and we have chipped away at this ordinance and we think we've got a very good one for you. I want to hit the highlights, what this ordinance really does. The ordinance actually will, and I'm looking for mine.
There.
Thank you. I've got a really great big book here, but without tabs, it's hard to find stuff. This is okay.
That was a
Great. I want to hit just some highlights. We discussed this last meeting. We're very grateful to have some outstanding animal lovers and activists in our community. They have worked together to provide us what we think is a model ordinance. This ordinance is going to take our animal control to a next level. It's going to stop a few things that need to be stopped. Number one, tethering. There's a lot of inhumane tethering going on in the city right now, and this will stop that. It will allow, when these situations of inhumane tethering are discovered, it will allow our officer to take action. The current policy allows tethering as long as the dog is walked every 8 hours. Well, how do you enforce that? And I think it can be said in our climate with extreme heat and cold that tethering can be a very inhumane treatment. In addition to that, it's going to stop the practice of anyone being able to just sell a puppy on the sidewalk. These puppy mills, puppies that are being raised and sold for fighting purposes. Only licensed, reputable, permitted sellers of animals will be permitted to sell those animals in the city. It's also going to limit the number of animals that individuals can have. Now, does this mean we're going to go around and do a puppy patrol and we're going to count puppies in backyards and houses? No, we don't have the manpower to do that. But if it is found that there is a nuisance, chronic nuisance present in any neighborhood, and there are more than the allotted number of animals, then that will allow enforcement to take place. And those limits, again, allowing for enforcement in chronic instances, if it's less than an acre, 3 dogs, 5 cats, more than an acre, 4 dogs and 6 cats. Another thing that this does is it does provide a requirement for pets to be spayed or neutered and penalties if they're not. It does, however, allow permitting under certain circumstances through the city clerk's office for an individual wishing not to neuter or spay their animal due to a certain number of reasons, including health reasons, breeding reasons, and so on. It is very specific against fighting against abuse. It also is very clear on various definitions. It addresses livestock. It addresses vicious dogs. It does require that anyone with a dog shown to be vicious, that dog would be contained and proper signage placed and liability insurance enforced. And it also does several other things involving, the ability to remove for our animal control in certain cases, to remove those dead carcasses when we have to, and also to become involved if there should be a vicious animal situation. But we are not advocating any improper extermination of animals, but only through humane means. Now, I will tell you that other means are allowed if a person's life or an officer's life is presumed to be in danger. I've hit, I think, every high point. I'm open, to discussion, but right now I'd like to entertain a motion Alderwoman Hall?
Yes, sir, it's time to pass this animal control ordinance. We have been working on this for several weeks. The ordinance committee has met with our attorney as well. We made the appropriate changes and bring it to you tonight for approval. I make the motion, we approve it.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Dillard. Thank you. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Yes,
President.
Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, so as I read through, and well, first of all, I want to ask, what's the difference between this one that we received in the packet and the one that I got today at 4:30? Because it did not allow me time to go back and look at
Only-
this, so I just wanted to ask, what was the
I
difference?
think it's only, Mr. Calloway.
What's the,
That,
this
So
is the one I
for
got
reference-
Friday.
That's
the
the
one
one
you
that
got
is.
Friday is what's on the books currently. That is what's in the code currently.
Mhm.
This is the new ordinance.
I
that
didn't
is
get the
proposed.
opportunity to read, it was just too late given to me.
Oh,
I'm sorry, we sent the wrong one.
That's okay.
And so we sent
just-
this new one here, yes.
Okay, and,
may I say one thing?
Yes, Mr. Calloway.
For the alderman and mayor. The yellow highlights are the changes that were made to the document y'all received at the last meeting. So it was handed out last
it
meeting.
was.
But the yellows are the changes. I left it so you could see the change.
Okay, so I have a question, because,
Yes.
you said the word tethering for me, so when I think about lots of people in my community and, just as I go through the city of Natchez, they don't have a kennel, and so they do have them chained down. And so, that's their way of providing leash, of addressing the leash law, because it's not roaming, from one area to the next. And so, we said we won't consider that, and this, the environment is clean, it's not feces or anything like that, they're receiving water and that kind of thing. But most times they're just on a chain and not, or a leash, and not in a kennel. Okay, so that was concerning to me, that, and then, it said that the animal control officer would remove the animal. So when he removes them and there's no space at the Humane Society, what would be done with the animal at that point?
That is an ongoing discussion. The police department is securing 3 kennels. Chief, have we gotten those yet? We're waiting on them.
The guys going to go ahead.
Chief, come to the mic, please.
Mike, need to come to the mic.
So my mouth is big enough, I'm sorry. We have a local gentleman, we found him on Facebook. He's here in Natchez and he creates kennels, and he's making us a 3 kennel
Condo.
pretty much. And it has a shelter where they can get off. And he's also gonna make us a divider so that if we have to separate 2 dogs, we can put one in.
He does a great job with that too.
Okay.
He does a
You
great
know what I'm
job.
talking
Yes,
about?
I know exactly.
And it
what
will be
you're talking
used for the 5-day hold. And
Yes, sir.
then we are working with a local group, Hoofbeats, which has had great success in transporting animals to other locales when we don't have room for them here. We've also reached out to neighboring cities, communities, and we have gotten support already from other communities, to include the shelter in Madison. Yes.
I just have one other thing. On the animal removal of dead animals, F, it said it should be the job of the city animal control officer or the street department to remove such carcasses. So has that been related to Public Works Department that we will? So
That's actually not a change. That is done now.
well, I've had a conversation with Mr. Dollar, and it's been a while back. They are not, because I had that incident to happen. They're not removing. He said that I think that the conversation needs to take place, because that's not happening.
We'll
with
have
street
that
department.
conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So they will not remove the carcass. He said
Really?
it's the animal control. You want to speak to that, Chief?
No, they don't.
Okay. I
Well-
just thought I would ask. Has it
Well,
been
I think they will in
something worked out?
emergency. If you will
Right.
notice, the city animal control officer is named first,
Mhm.
but we do have an allowance, because obviously if we have a situation and it's in a roadway and the animal control officer is not present, then it would have to fall to the public works.
Okay, so what if it's after hours, Mayor? Like I've had them call and say the deer head is stuck here and he's dying. So what if it's after hours? Who will remove
We,
that from the stand?
well, that would have to be discussed. Obviously, we have one control officer. We can't expect him to work more than, a
The
given
8-hour
week.
shift?
If
But
it's something
we-
after hours, like if a deer or a big animal or a vicious animal, then dispatch those, we'll call him in and he'll just be on overtime.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
So dial 911, that's what you're
Yes,
saying,
ma'am.
Chief, call 911?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing I want to speak to. I support this, and I think someone's done a lot of work on this, so I'm happy to be part of implementing this revised ordinance. But I want to just speak to the public. The problem that we're having, and the spade and neutering is the big component that I like. I agree 100% with the tethering, but the spade and neutering is so critical to our humane society because they're overcrowded, and it is at a point now where it is getting to be a desperate situation. And what I want to ask the public is that we really do need that kind of input. If you're thinking about getting a dog, go to the Humane Society. They will definitely get you an adoption, and the dog will have its shots, and it'll be spayed, it'll be neutered, and those things. And I can't help and don't want to miss this, but when we're overcrowded and they can't ship them out, there is the reality of it that animals are going to have to be euthanized. And my heart goes out to anyone that would be their job to have to do that. When they don't euthanize them, what do we do?
At the Natchez Adams County, it is a no-kill shelter.
Well, thank goodness.
And
I'm
that
glad to
is a
know that.
challenge.
Thank you very much.
Unless the animal poses a danger to
Right.
staff.
Health and
And,
public safety.
Yeah.
But in any case, be a responsible party. If you want to have a set of puppies, you can do the breeders things, have what you want, but get your animals spayed and neutered and make it a better place for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Call the question.
Well, I would entertain that, but Alderman Frazier
Yes,
has a comment. I'm going to entertain it.
Mr. Mayor, most of these ordinances are already on the book, am I correct?
Yes.
What was added on here?
The main items that I highlighted at the beginning of the discussion, those are the things that have changed. And then that shows what was changed from the document you were given 2 weeks ago. But again, those are the tethering, requiring the spay neuter and requiring a permitting if they don't. Also the limitation on animals and the limitation actually not allowing the sale of pets by unlicensed and unpermitted individuals.
Okay, like I say, I agree with some of that stuff in what, but here's the problem that I'm having. I might not do it on animal control, but the problem that I'm having is dealing with dogs and stuff. They have people calling about dogs barking all night. So that's a big problem that I got, and they like, what can I do? Who can I call? If the animal control officer go out and say, well, who get that report? Who take care of that?
And that is addressed.
It's in here, and one thing that's added is penalties. The original ordinance just kind of said, don't do that.
Okay.
So, and we've added penalties to that, but dog barking and nuisance and biting is covered.
Excessive nuisances.
I'm looking for it right now, Alderman Frazier. I think I ran by it.
Well, the enforcement part, like I said, this is a problem I got too.
It's owner responsibility, and it's section
Page 2.
3.
Okay.
Section 3.
Also, the problem that I face a lot, I don't know about the other people in my ward, horses on vacant lots and stuff. I have people calling in about that, people, horses within the city limits. So, like I say,
It's in here. It addresses necessary.
Okay.
It does.
It's under livestock.
On the livestock and cattle, because they be tied.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's actually under livestock.
These cans cost.
And if they want to keep them, they've got to get them permitted if they were here before this was passed. There's a grandfather clause.
Oh, grandfather clause?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the tethering is
But the
not
teth, they
allowed.
if they was already grandfather, they could be tethered.
Don't think the tethering applies. I
It was
don't think
grandfather
that.
in, am I correct? If
And
they tied up?
that comes under livestock, not under tethering. And the grandfather clause does require a permit still, Alderman Frazier. Other
Okay.
than that, they can't be bringing new horses into.
Well, see, I need to get this out to the general public.
That's
Everybody
right.
can hear it. Okay.
That's good.
Yes,
I got one
Alderwoman Irving.
other comment,
Yeah.
two other things I want to make sure, because that was my concern too. I said, it says that Mississippi law dictates that all cats and dogs must be vaccinated for rabies. Everyone needs to know that.
Yes.
And so the second thing is that I wanted to say, how will this be, inform the public? I mean, how will it go to the media to inform the public? Because we have it tonight, a copy of it, but our community members need to know. And so how would that?
That's a
report?
very good point. And
Thank you.
I would like to suggest that we would create an informational brochure and find ways to distribute it through the community.
Thank you.
Perhaps we could actually see if it could be included in other correspondence that maybe sent out through the city. We'll look
You
into
can put it on
that.
the city webpage.
And definitely.
Everybody
on
does
the
go to the
webpage.
website, so.
Yeah.
It just needs to be out there because I see a lot of things in here that actually needs to be tidied up from members of the community. If they know, they will, how we're going to move forward with this in the very near future. So
Okay.
having information, available for them will make it a lot easier for the animal control personnel as well as the board of aldermen, because we do get a lot of questions, about concerns that, members of the community have.
All right.
Thank you.
Very
Mr.
good. Yes,
I think it
Alderwoman
would be a
Smith.
perfect topic at your meetings, your neighborhood meetings.
And that's true.
And I will, and
And,
now that I have more information, I will.
But yeah, and they could download it from our thing. And then it's always for somebody that doesn't do computer can go up to the planning department and get a copy of it. Should be able to go up.
And actually, we can include this also with the newcomer orientation packet. We have just made available online a PDF of our newcomer packet. Is full of information, and we'll add a section about this to
Thank you.
that.
Because again, we just want to be fair. We want to be equitable because we got people all over the city of Natchez with dogs. And so, you go there and you got these neighbors been complaining for 2 years. And I do have them like that. They've had concerns for over 2 years. And
Yes.
the dog has not been removed from the premises.
Yes.
So just want to be fair
All
about
right.
the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will call for the question. We'll now proceed to a vote. Being that this is an ordinance, do we need a roll call vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Excuse me?
This is a roll call vote.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Mr. Robert Green, who did a lot of the legwork, and all of those that have been meeting with us, even as recently as just about 15 minutes before the meeting by phone. Miscellaneous updates. I do have a couple. Chief, you are going to bring us up to date on the Mardi Gras parade that is taking place Friday. I know a meeting was held today on that with you and the fire chief.
Yes.
It's on the city's website.
Fire chief and I met with the parade committee, also with Miss Curtis Maroney.
Oh, Mr. Curtis.
Mr. Curtis.
Yeah, Maroney.
Mr. Curtis. Maroney.
Yeah, and we talked about some things. As you see, this is the route. Mr. Hinkle helped me get that together, and we already have it disseminated to the newspaper so they can put it out so people understand. For safety purposes, we're going to start shutting down the streets at 3. We're going to have them cleared by 4, and Mr. Dollar and his crew are going to start putting up barricades and blocking off the streets at 4 o'clock. We've already talked to some of the businesses downtown. Some of your restaurants and establishments are going to open up and DJs and have family events. So they want trying to get everybody out. So we want to shut down the vehicle traffic so we can have a lot of foot traffic for downtown. We have all the blocks covered. We're looking forward to it. First Mardi Gras in 2 years. We have 34 floats, and he's not allowing utility trailers. These are all Mardi Gras floats. So we have 34 floats, and we have, I think, 3 bands, and we're working on getting a couple more bands.
That's great.
Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Davis?
I know Colleen had an NLCC at the convention center on
Yes,
Friday. Didn't go up to that evening.
that's right. That's right. We do want to make sure everyone knows the Natchez Literary and Cinema
Oh, okay.
conference starts
Okay.
Thursday at the convention center.
Oh, okay.
So with this parade going, it's going to be a really busy time. Chief, we did have a parade though last year, but it just wasn't a full-blown Mardi Gras.
Okay.
But remember, you had just become our chief, and you did a great job with the help of a gentleman back there named Bobby. And it was, but this has been a full-blown, wide-open Mardi Gras season, and I'm excited about it. And I am excited to be the Grand Marshal this year. So that will be a lot of fun. And we're getting some assistance from the police department and fire department on making that a very special thing. Any questions for the chief on that?
Why we don't have a city float?
And, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, I'm just going to open it up. Anybody who wants to be, any of you aldermen who wants to be on the Grand Marshal float with me, come on. We got room for you and we got beads.
What's our tiger?
Attire, dress warmly. I think it's going to be in the 50s. 43. And be at the Bluff at 5:30. Line up on Broadway is at 5:30.
They're going to start lining up around 5:15. A parade will start rolling at 6:30 sharp.
Okay. But any alder person who would like to ride with me on that Grand Marshal float, you're welcome to.
And
It may
Mayor,
be a little crowded because I've already got a few folks who, well, I just couldn't say no to.
Mayor,
Do we have a chair stand or we throw it?
Just stand.
Okay.
You're just gonna stand.
And it's in closing. Okay. I'm thinking it in my head.
It's-
So-
yes, that's one of the stipulations they did this year. All the floats are enclosed up, I think he said 4 feet high, so,
Gotcha.
and all the way around so that people won't be able to fall out.
They come on down there.
And also, Mayor, we are asking all the citizens to have their vehicles move, start moving their cars at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Once we shut the streets down, anything in the way, we'll probably ticketed and towed.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chief. A couple more miscellaneous updates. I just want to make sure everyone does know about the Natchez Literary and Cinema Celebration being held. And it is a jam-packed schedule starting Thursday evening, running all day Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a great event. Also, this Friday night and all day Saturday, there's a really great event being held at Concord Quarters as part of Black History Month, and celebrating culture, art, music, cuisine. I understand Alderman Frazier, a very talented young lady named Jarita, is going to be providing some cuisine, along with a caterer in the afternoon. That's all on Saturday. An award-winning filmmaker from our area, Elijah Lewis, will be showcasing some of his work and talent in art and photography on Friday evening.
What time?
And that starts, I believe, around 6:30. But I know Ms. Deborah Cozy has been putting that out there. We can share that on the city's webpage. We have the graphic. Also, I hate to tell you, but it's all sold out. Over 80 people are making a trip Saturday to the Mississippi Delta on a civil rights tour that Dr. Carolyn Myers put together. And I am excited that to say that my wife Marla and I will be attending. and going on that tour of the Delta, Alderwoman Hall. It's going to be an exciting day. Looking forward to that.
Where you going, Mr. Mayor?
The Delta.
What part?
On the Civil Rights History Tour. I've been asked to drive the mayor's vehicle to represent the city of Natchez. We will have encounters also with mayors in all the Delta cities and some state senators who are coming out. This is a very important opportunity for our city to be involved in the Civil Rights Tour of the Delta. I'm very excited about that.
I'm quite sure you're going in and over.
And we are going to Indianola. We are. We also want to make sure everyone knows that Monday evening at 5:30, we will have the rededication of the Proud to Take a Stand monument. The lights are being installed. Ms. Nifa Hardy's been working very hard on this, along with Mr. Robert Purnell and and various others. Landscaping is being tweaked. New signage in place, additional names that have been missing. And so this is a rededication, and special guests will be former Mayor Darrell Grinnell and also former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant. And so the occasion of this is at 5:30 at the monument Monday. This is the final day of Black History Month, February the 28th. Yes. Alderman Smith.
It sound like a broken record. Can we please have calendar invites sent on things like that so we can just accept it as on our calendar?
Certainly. Let's get that done.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
let me, if it's all right with you, let me give one more shout out to the people that, including former Mayor Dale Grinnell, for his actions on the Proud to Take a Stand monument. And as I stated in my report earlier about the civil rights area in Natchez and the march and stuff, it was his initiative. Then he formed a committee to form it. I would like to thank him, former leader George Arsenault Matthews, and the committee that who helped to get this project off the ground. And as you said, this dedication is very important to the community. And I think it's something that we are all looking for. And I thank you for the rededication of this monument and all the people who are going to participate in it. So I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alderman Frazier. Yes. And then I also am pleased to report that we've received affirmative reply from Visit Natchez that they are a proud sponsor along with the city with a contribution of $5,000 for the NAPAC Self-Guided History Tour signage, and that signage will be arriving, we hope, within the month of March. We couldn't, supply chains being what they are, we're waiting, like everyone's waiting, but we'll have that kickoff of that in March, which, by the way, March is the 22nd celebration, 22 years of NAPAC. And speaking of NAPAC, so glad to see the paint job completed and the new banners installed. It certainly represents our city well. We are having meetings still on the Eola, on the depot, on the raising of Silver Street, and on other very important issues, and we'll have more updates on those soon. So that, I believe, concludes the mayor's report. Yes, Alderwoman.
I just ask a question. With the Proud to Take a Stand, those 9 names that were added, is it possible to ask the Democrat to put an article in the paper making sure, because some of those people work out of town and they make extra efforts, like I have family members coming in.
Yes.
You know, that.
We will.
Is it possible to do that?
We're actually working on a press release.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that goes out to the Democrat very soon.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So
And I
a couple
know
people
that
here say they
Ms.
work
Jan,
out of town.
and I know that our dear friend, Ms. Jan Griffey, is actually covering our meeting via Facebook tonight. And so we'll ask Ms. Griffey to please help us get that word out.
Okay.
And we do appreciate the Natchez Democrat, by the way, is also partnering in a big way in our signage campaign. And they are working on a special edition glossy insert for the paper that will come out that will have a feature on each of the sites along with a self-guided map. So a lot of good things happen. That does conclude my report. Any further business to come before the board tonight?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman? Yes,
do you
Alderman.
have any more additional information on the raising of Silver Street?
I just said that we
gonna
have
call it next
talks.
meeting?
I don't believe any vote is necessary. We did that.
This is just information.
That's just informational. We voted on all of this at the last meeting, the tweet coordinates for Viking. Everything is proceeding. We're just waiting on final approval through Army Corps of Engineers and also some back and forth with Archives and History. We're still looking at a May date to start the project. I do want to say also, Viking was here last week, and Viking has told us that the Viking Mississippi is running ahead of schedule and may be arriving in June for his maiden voyage. And that is great news. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I do have one other announcement. I do have to say this so you can mark your calendars. Don't forget our special call meeting Tuesday.
Is that here?
And it is here at 10 a.m. And that's on the airport. Also, we have had some scheduling conflicts for our first meeting of March. Normally, it would be on March 8th. It is going to instead be held on March the 11th at 11 a.m., which is a Friday. I just wanted to make sure to get that
March 11th?
into your, yes,
Okay.
onto your calendars.
At what time?
At 11 a.m. At 11 a.m.
I
Yes.
just want to quickly say that I will be traveling that day, but I'm planning to call in.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. There's just so many moving parts these days. We will now call for a motion
So moved.
to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. We stand adjourned. Thank you so much.